Don't blame us for any side effects.
You thrilled our fans throughout the postseason.
Gwynn and Chris are ready to go.
We were supposed to be ready to go, but clearly working our way to being ready. Welcome into Gwynn and Chris, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby, Chris Ello, still on vacay. Padres shortly will be headed up north to Los Angeles for a 3-game set. Padres with a terrific homestand. 5-1.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
And because they beat the Astros, they won that series. They did what they're supposed to do.
Everybody got their sweep.
They did what they were supposed to do. They had a couple comebacks. They had to battle adversity on Friday night after everybody thought the game was over. They tie it up. Padres win. Fernando walk-off. So many great things.
A lot of good things, man. Padres just continue to keep rolling along. I mean, there's really not a lot different about what's happening. Offense continues to do enough. They haven't had one of those like explosive. Maybe they have. Let me go through my scorecards that I have here. But the offense most certainly has been consistent during this time span.
I'm gonna get you on camera while you're going through that.
Yeah, you go ahead. You get me on camera. They put up 6 on Saturday, but they had to do that, and they got those last couple of late. It was nice to see them do that. And I guess the point I'm trying to make is the Padres can win in a whole bunch of different ways, and have won in a whole bunch of different ways. You got to be pretty excited and confident where this team is right now. This is probably going to be one of the setting up to be one of the best weeks of baseball, for the Padres if they can pull it off. And the National League West is a real thing right now with 6 games to go. 3 games back, 6 games to go. By the way, the Dodgers, it would have been 2 games back had the Dodgers not went back to back in the bottom of the 9th against the Rockies in yesterday's game. Shohei goes deep, Mookie Betts goes deep. They win the game, and it keeps the Padres at 3. So, I mean, it's certainly not impossible. It's a climb. Let's say the Padres sweep the Dodgers. I imagine the emotion of pulling that off with 3 to go would be pretty high. And then to turn around and then have to play the Diamondbacks, who in all likeliness will be fighting for their playoff souls. Because remember, we're 3 games ahead of them right now. They would love to host a series and do the same thing the Padres are trying to do right now. So 2 teams, 3 teams total. The 2 series between these teams are going to be a lot of fun, Scrape.
I mean, I just really, it's crazy to me after everything that's happened this year that the Padres have a chance at the NL West after everything. Like going into the final week, you couldn't ask for more, because I think coming into the year, all of us were hoping for a wild card, not a division. And now they're on the doorstep of possibly taking the division.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought about it until Bill Center tweeted it the other day. 1996
explain this to me.
It starts to roll. So the difference is the Padres faced the Dodgers with the last 3 games of the season, with the division on the line in 1996. Padres at that point hadn't been to the playoffs since '84. The difference here this time around is the Padres and Dodgers are facing with 3 games after their series. So the Padres end up, I think the Padres are 2 games down from the Dodgers going into the last 3 games. They win Friday night. They win Saturday night on a single by my pops, and then they win on Sunday. It was Saturday day. It was a Fox game. They win the following day on Sunday on a double by my Uncle Chris, and that put the Padres. They gave the Padres the division, and then their reward was to play the Cardinals, and then they got swept in that one.
The reward, huh?
But yeah, because prior to us beating the Cardinals, and what was that, 2020, and when they had the 2020, like the Cardinals had dominated the Padres from that point on through the early 2000s in the playoffs. So that was kind of, I don't know if you remember, that was kind of like getting over the hump. But I digress. It's setting up similarly, but the Padres just have 3 more games after. And those 3 games after will probably be just as significant. Because even if the Padres then go sweep the Dodgers to tie, now you're facing the Diamondbacks, who you got a loss there. Because I think the Dodgers end, if I'm not mistaken, they end with somebody weak.
The Rockies.
There you go.
In Colorado.
There you go. Which is probably a benefit to the Padres, because anything can happen in that stadium there.
The Rockies were trying to play spoiler all weekend, and
I respect that. Good for them.
Good for them, but they didn't accomplish it. I mean,
they can only, it's funny. It's like Dave Marcus was going off on.
What did Dave have to say?
Dave Marcus was going off on the Marlins. He's going off on
the Marlins
because the Braves lose.
Yes,
we would have had a chance to clinch yesterday. Now, as it turned out, the Mets didn't. But but as I told him, I was like, "Hey, man, they're one of the worst teams for a reason. Like, I know they are trying to play spoiler, but they are behind the 8 ball. They have almost lost 100 games this season. So I mean, it's not as though it's a team that is really dependable. It's like they're depending on us depending on the Marlins to take care. It's almost like the Diamondbacks depending on the White Sox to come in here and handle the Padres,
and sweep
right?
us.
It's just it's not likely to happen.
No, that's a good point. You can't expect bad teams to win.
Right. It'd be different if it was a team. I mean, these are some of the worst teams in baseball right now. So, nonetheless, Padres only this was a homestand in which they could have lost ground, but they end up gaining ground really all the way around. Gain ground in the division, gain ground in the wild card. Padres' magic number is 1. They can clinch a playoff spot with a win tomorrow night in Los Angeles. That is the only way they can clinch tomorrow. If they lose, even a loss by the Braves to the Mets tomorrow would leave open the remote possibility of a 3-way tie between the 3 teams that would end with the Padres as the odd team out.
I mean, that's crazy.
That's the pessimistic viewpoint of whoever out there.
When I read that this morning, there was a shiver that went down my spine because I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
You're telling me there's a chance they could be the odd team out?
There is really not even a sign that could even happen.
No, there's no sign.
That's
correct.
the thing, right? The Padres aren't playing in a way that could even lend you to believe that there's a possibility that could happen. And quite frankly, they haven't played that way since the beginning of the second half. I take it back. Since after the first game, the 7-0 drubbing in Cleveland.
Yes.
After that point, they haven't shown any signs of that at any point.
Bryce Miller wrote an article today in the San Diego Union Tribune about why this team is a matchup nightmare for other teams.
It is.
And the quotes throughout really tell me where this clubhouse is at, because you got Donovan Solano, who's been on a lot of playoff teams. He said that this is a complete team. A lot of the other guys were saying that this is a complete team. No one wants to face the bullpen. No one wants to face the lineup right now. I mean, the Padres, we always talk about, it's the team that gets hot or is playing the best when they go into the playoffs that is dangerous. And the Padres, to me, are one of the most dangerous teams. I had a friend text me yesterday, man, they barely beat the White Sox. And my friend's listening, so that's your voice for you. They barely beat the White Sox. But how I looked at it yesterday was they needed to execute to win a game, and they did. It doesn't matter that it came against the White Sox. It was just nice to see them execute, get the sac fly, do all the things that they need to do to win, and that's what happened.
By the way, that's what they do all the time.
They're playing great baseball right now.
Yeah, that is one of the best things about watching this team pitch on a daily basis, or just play baseball in general, is that they play the game well. They play like they enjoy each other. They play their strategy seems to be woven together within the at bats that they have. It's really a lot of fun to watch, and that's what made the Astro series so fun to watch because you got to watch two teams that was like high level baseball happening right there.
Yeah.
It was a taste of what could possibly become playoff time, perhaps longer. Now, the other storyline going is one that I don't necessarily believe is a storyline.
I was actually thinking you weren't going to bring it up. I'm
gonna bring it up. Robert Suarez had a good night, a good day yesterday, which isn't uncommon. He's had a lot of those, but I think the good day, bad day has kind of made people a little unnerved, and I get it. Changed it up a little bit, which is why I'm not really worried about it. Like, it's one thing if like you just can't get anybody out or you can't command a baseball. Everything he has still is, plus. You just got to mix it up a little bit, and that's what he did. Friday night he got hurt after he threw 7 consecutive fastballs, and the thing that was disappointing is probably the wrong word. The thing that was tough to watch was as you were watching that at bat on Friday unfold, Lenin Sosa was the hitter. You could see he was getting to those pitches. He was just fouling them off. It wasn't like he was late.
Yeah.
He was, if you're watching from our view, which is directly, you could see the barrel get in there, and he's just fouling it off. And after, 5, 6, the 7th one, and to be frank, and this is no knock on Lenin, had that been a better hitter, it would have happened before 7 straight. Like, you just can't, and it wasn't just the fact that he threw 7 straight. They were like, split the plate in half right down the middle. And the last one, finally, he paid for it. And the difference was, in yesterday's outing, he was on the corners with the fastball, and he threw some changeups. He threw back-to-back changeups to get the last out of the game. He threw 6 in total in that outing.
Which I love to see, because I told you last week, if the Padres felt like he needed more pitches, they would go for it. Mike Schill, after the game on Friday, was asked about Robert Suarez. Here's what he said.
I think he's got to be able to mix in another, something else occasionally to righties. He's got the changeup. The ability to throw another pitch is going to be important for him. The fastball velocity's plus. Made a lot of good pitches. He's 1 strike twice from, being able to bring it home, but wasn't able to. But, my concern with Robert's not very high.
I love that he says this Friday night, and the next outing they've made the change. They've done something about it.
Yeah, he as he said, his confidence wasn't low. You know what I'm saying, as it pertains to Robert. So it was good to see him make the adjustment necessary. Got the out. I honestly don't have a worry about it. To be fair, if we're just going off of like giving up runs, I think Jason Adam gave up a run here this past weekend. If I'm not mistaken, Tanner Scott gave up a run this weekend. So it can't just be about that. None of those guys' stuff has changed. It's still the same stuff. Maybe some patterns that have developed, at least as it pertains to Robert, has happened, and it seemed like he made the adjustments, which is fantastic. All right, let's get to break. We're gonna try to keep this show on track for once.
Yeah, Chris.
We're see, you take a shot at Chris. I wasn't even talking about him.
I know.
Let's get to break. When we return, Mountain West clawing back, trying to get some of their beloved talent back in the fold. We'll discuss when we return. More Gwynn and Chris.
Disgusting as well. So.
There's a remarkable there was Matthew Skraby's last play at SoFi.
Man.
49ers go down. They get walked down by the Rams who were down big at halftime. Walked the 49ers down in their building. 49er fans, like Skraby, had the sad face.
Oh, yeah. We definitely had the sad face. It was fun, though. I mean, I personally...
I still have to get up to a game at SoFi.
I personally, because I know the morning show talked about going to games and stuff, and I completely understand that, like, going to games sometimes is not the best way to watch football.
Definitely isn't.
But, like, going at least once a year is fun because it really shows you how good these guys are. And the seats, I was very lucky to get great seats, and you just see everything on the field. Like from where we were, we saw like the passing lanes, and we saw, Matt Stafford getting sacked, and I'm like, oh gosh, it looks way worse in person than it does on TV.
Even like the little baby sacks seem like they hurt.
Yeah, you can hear them hitting the turf. But SoFi itself is a really nice stadium. The only problem I have with it.
Oh, I knew there was a problem. I didn't know what the problem was, but knowing you, I knew there was a problem.
A lot of people have this problem.
Oh, okay.
It's extremely hot in that place.
Is it?
There's no air conditioning.
There's no circulating air.
There's a roof on it, but the roof allows the sun to come through. So you're like kind of outside, but you're not. You can't feel the breeze where I was sitting, and so it's kind of like a sauna on the field. And we were just talking, all of us in the stands yesterday, like, I wish they would have just, like, made it so the sun doesn't, like, shine on us during the day because it's a clear roof.
I tell you what, man, Californians, they don't like sun directly on them.
It's kind of ridiculous, right? It's kind of ridiculous. Because it was a cloudy day, so all of us were wearing, like, jeans, and some people were wearing jackets thinking it was going to be sort of cold. But no, it was, like, 85 degrees on the field.
I guess it's one thing to be like laying in the sand and with space, as opposed to having thousands of bodies like
there were
around
78,000 people there yesterday.
That's another reason why I don't like going to football games. It's just it's a big crowd.
It's a huge crowd, and there are a lot of drunk people. And I know
mostly drunk people. I
was one of those drunk people back in the day.
I was say, what?
No, not yesterday. No. Back in the day, I was totally one of those drunk people.
Like that, dude.
No. There, like around us, there weren't many fights, but I gotta say, at the Padres game on Friday night, there was a fight in our section or near our section, and it's gotta be one of the most embarrassing things for me to watch is two adult grown men trying to fight over something stupid. It's so stupid, and it puts everybody in the area in danger.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so that's how you're. Well, at least you got to go to a game, man. That's fun.
Yeah, well, I would also like for the forum. Up there in Inglewood to not schedule a Nicki Minaj concert at the same time as a football game.
Like when you say same time, you mean like it's the concert started at the same time as the game, or
I don't know when the concert started, but there were people filing in as we were filing out, and it took us nearly 3 hours to get home from SoFi.
How long did it take you to get out of the parking lot?
Almost an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
There was a drunk guy who fell, who had like an emergency, and I laughed. but once I realized that he was he was like being that drunk guy yelling, Rams, go Rams, and then he tripped on the curb and he fell. And I laughed a little bit, and I thought, oh, man, this guy's actually kind of hurt.
He's leaking.
He's kind of hurt over there.
Anyway. Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Thanks.
Before we went to break, we talked a little bit about the Mountain West trying to claw back some of their teams that have left that are possibly leaving. And it seems like that is exactly what the Mountain West is. What are you smiling about there?
Everybody's crushing me for the no air conditioning comment, but you weren't there. You were not there. It's a closed stadium with two small inlets to have airflow in there. Tell me, go sit in that stadium and tell me you're not thinking the same thing. Anyway, yes, the AAC or the Mountain West is trying to fight back.
So Air Force has recommitted their standing with Mountain West. Now, if you remember, they were reportedly possibly moving to the AAC.
American Athletic Conference.
That's right. After teams like South Florida, Memphis, San Antonio, Texas, I think, and there was another one I'm missing. Scrape.
North Texas. Say the teams again.
North Texas was the other team.
Yeah.
They were going to replace those. They were going to be part of the replacement to the AAC. That is no longer the case because it sounds like now that Memphis, Tulane, USF, and Texas San Antonio are now staying with the AAC. So the Pac-12, that was their play, was to try to go after their big dogs. The reason why the Mountain West story is significant is because they're offering a one-time payment of, I think it's like $10 million to teams to stay in the Mountain West. Why are they doing that? Because the Pac-10 is now going to change their sites off of the AAC core to that Mountain West core. So they're trying to court keeping teams like UNLV in the fold. I already told you Air Force is staying in the fold. I would assume New Mexico.
Yeah.
I would assume they're probably still trying to court Boise State and San Diego State to stay there. Now, San Diego State's already announced they're leaving.
And Boise has too.
And Boise has too. I think Colorado State has also announced.
And Fresno State.
So those teams, I mean, that's really, if we're being honest, outside of UNLV is pretty much the core. Now, UNLV, to my knowledge, hasn't said that they've made a decision one way or another. We know Air Force is staying. I just find this interesting. The Pac-12 is going to be on a search for those two other teams. They have to have the two other teams to get to 8 in order to be relevant for that bid spot for the playoffs.
I think they'll get to the 8 teams, but this is what worried me. And again, they could develop this into a big conference here in the next couple of years, but I don't know why the Pac-12 didn't just join up with the Mountain West if they're just going to have a bunch of Mountain West teams.
Because they don't want all of the teams.
They
want to be able to split the pot with a little bit less, and I think they also are concerned that the other teams will bring it down. The other teams not named Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State, who else? Fresno State. But that is the concern that you got to get to 8, because once they get to 8, I think it relaxes, because then you can go out and get Gonzaga to add to what would be a pretty good basketball conference as well. And that's what it's about, really making your conference look good enough so you can maintain the kind of level that you've had in terms of football playoff and being able to kind of pull in some money.
Chris and I talked about this last week, I think, when you were, or 2 weeks ago, but I would much rather be on the ground floor of a new conference than to join up with a conference and be the last one in.
Now, mind you, San Diego State's been here before, where they've been on the ground floor. They were on the ground floor of the Mountain West when it started. And so, I think this is a little bit different, though. The Pac-12, just name recognition is a different monster than I think San Diego State's ever been involved with. And, as I said when it happened, I think this is a good move for them. We'll see how the rest of it kind of unfolds.
Brandon says, if you're going to invite Gonzaga as a basketball-only school, why not USD as well? That might make it more of a rivalry for basketball.
Again, it's really more about what the school can bring to the conference. Now, outside of baseball that I can think of off the top.
I mean, their football program's good, but it's not
Division II.
Yeah, it's not. It's 1AA.
1AA, yeah.
It's not the highest level.
That's the problem, with and it wouldn't be, remember, Pac-12 does not care about San Diego State's rivalry. They really don't.
No.
They're just trying to put together the best conference. I think that's part of what would prevent a USD from getting into that conference.
Same with I know UCSD, aren't they in Division I now?
Yeah.
That would be another one, maybe. I don't know. But UCSB is there too. A lot of those West Coast Conference schools for basketball might be poached, because I know USF, San Francisco, doesn't have a football team, but they have a basketball team.
I think all of the teams that we're talking about going to Pac-12 have a football. I don't know that you're going to be able to get into this conference without one, unless you are like a national powerhouse basketball-wise, like a Gonzaga.
Rod said Hawaii will be down to play. I don't think anybody wants to go to Hawaii anymore. That's a long
He
trip.
said Hawaii would be down to play. I'm sure they would.
I'm sure they would too, but
they
that's
definitely would be.
I mean, Hawaii is not the trip that people think it is.
It's a long trip.
It's a long trip. You get there, you play, you come home. It's like it's like 12 hours on a plane for a 3-hour game.
Pretty much. All right, let's get to break. When we return, we get go ahead.
Well, we have Padres pen
I was
pals,
about to get to that. Go ahead.
but John Fisher, the owner,
Oh my god,
sent out a letter that I have just read.
You want to read it on the other side?
We will read some of it on the other side.
John Fisher does not
Owner of the A's.
does not disappoint.
No.
More Gwynn and Chris on the other side. .238 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby. Just he and I holding it down. Padres will head up to Los Angeles. So I don't know why I tried to do that.
Los Angeles?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
We'll be leaving. We'll be leaving a couple hours from now. So, Skraby, you had a letter that you wanted to read.
Yes, I do. I got to favorite this comment real quick because it's a good Padres pen pal question. But yes, I do have a letter from John Fisher.
John Fisher,
the owner of the A's. He put up
for the record. Tonight is their last. Is tonight their last home game, or was
final series?
Final series. Excuse me.
Yes.
Final series of the Coliseum's history, with the A's in it at least.
I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to skip around a little bit. But this is
Have you read the whole thing, though?
Yes, it's very form. He did not write this.
Okay.
Someone wrote this for him, and he said, cool, put it out there. Or he didn't even see it. But he said, this upcoming series with the Texas Rangers will be the final games of the A's storied 57 years in Oakland. And while the A's previously played in Philadelphia and Kansas City, Oakland has been home for the greatest era in the franchise's more than 123 history. I skipped down a little bit. Triumphs, near misses, the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake in Game 3, the 20-game win streak, a Hollywood movie, and an unmatched cast of players, coaches, and fans. We've had it all. Here's where it turns, everybody. And that, I know, is what makes our departure so very hard. The A's are a part of the fabric of Oakland, the East Bay, and the entire Bay Area. When Lou Wolf and I bought the team in 2005, our dream was to win world championships and build a new ballpark in Oakland. Over the next 18 years, we did our very best to make that happen. We proposed and pursued 5 different locations in the Bay Area, and despite mutual and ongoing efforts to get a deal done for the Howard Terminal project, we came up short. Now, the final part of this that I want to... there's so much in here, I just don't want to read the whole thing. There are millions of dedicated, passionate A's fans in Oakland and around the world. Countless dedicated staff members in the Oakland Coliseum employees have poured their hearts into this team. Though I wish I could speak to each one of you individually, I can tell you this from the heart. We tried. Staying in Oakland was our goal. It was our mission, and we failed to achieve it. And for that, I am genuinely sorry. Looking ahead, I hope you will join our beloved A's as we move forward on this amazing journey. I hope I'll see you again sporting the green and gold, and I hope we will make you proud. John Fisher.
Yeah, no, John, you're not making anyone proud.
No,
buddy.
no one cares.
Here's the trip. What he said in there was not, it was true. But what he fails to mention in there is that he's the cause of it not actually staying the fabric.
Yes.
Of the community.
Yes.
It'd be like the the murderer writing you a letter, but not actually saying that
I murdered that person.
They're the one that did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, he could have been like, hey, I tried. I'm sorry. I failed.
He didn't say I failed.
No, he just said, we tried. We tried. But a lot of the people that I've seen on X and on the chat are saying this gives very, very... this gives vibes of Dean Spanos' letter back to everybody.
I'm sure people here in San Diego hear this letter and just the hair on their arm stands up because they either enrage or in sadness.
They still don't have a place to play in Las Vegas.
I think this is going to be a mess.
Well, Rob Manfred better figure it out. And he's trying to figure it out to make himself look good at this point.
I won't be surprised if they don't end up in Las Vegas.
You won't be surprised.
I won't be
No,
surprised.
because MLB will make it happen because they don't want to be wrong.
Oh, you think Major League Baseball is going to make it happen?
Oh, yeah. They're going to back channel this whole thing.
Well, they got to build a stadium first.
Exactly. They're going to work with the leaders
and
in Las
until
Vegas.
I see actual, framework in the ground, I will have a hesitation to believe it's actually happening.
I agree. I got to give the
Because
A's...
at some point you got to start building that bad boy. They said 2028.
Six, I think. That's not going to happen.
That's going to be here before you know it.
We're about to be in 2025.
Yeah, exactly.
And he doesn't have the money. He doesn't have the votes. He doesn't have anything going on right now.
Like I said, I won't be surprised if something wild happens. I don't know what that wild is, but it contains them not going to Vegas.
It's just so annoying. Just so annoying when these people... Anyway, we can move on now from John Fisher. Just had to read that very heartfelt letter that he sent to everybody.
All right, now you got a Padres pen pal first, don't you?
I do. Let's go.
It's time to ask the experts, Padres fans.
I was hoping maybe you can bring a little insight into it.
Write us, tweet us, Facebook us, send a carrier pigeon for Chris. He thinks they're cute. Padres Pen Pals begins
Hurt the pelota big time.
now on 97.3 The Fan.
I don't know what just happened over there in the corner.
I just hit myself with this racquetball
In
my
the head?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty hard ball, too.
It is. It's not soft.
Yeah. It's not... Yeah. All right. Padres Pen Pals.
I'm surprised you have enough questions.
I do have enough questions. I mean, they're all pretty positive questions. But first, this hour is brought to you by Indeed. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credits. Now, the Rookie of the Year award is going to come down probably to this week, people think. Because Paul Skeens has been pitching really well down the stretch. The Pirates have not slowed him down at all. Here's our first Padres pen pal. I probably care too much about this, but I want to say it anyway. I'm still seeing the Paul Skeens people pushing him for Rookie of the Year. No doubt Paul Skeens has been so good this season, and it's really awesome to see. I just truly 100% believe Jackson Merrill is the Rookie of the Year. He has said that it doesn't bother him at all if he doesn't win. But deep down, Tony, do you guys think he cares about winning the award?
Of course, I think there's an element of him that cares. I mean, I think it's not the priority, but I'm sure he cares. If there's sure he wants to win it. But, I want him to win it. I think he's deserving of winning. But I will say, I warned everybody about counting their chickens too early at the beginning of this month because there was a whole month of baseball, and you don't know how that's going to turn. And he's done nothing wrong. He's done nothing at all to let up.
Played just the same, if not
better. But it does feel like the temperature is changing a little bit.
Do I think he cares? Yeah. Do I think if he loses, he's going to lose sleep over it? No. Do I think Paul Skeens is deserving of it? Possibly. Do I think that Jackson Merrill is deserving of it? Absolutely. Steven Strasburg sat in that chair. World Series MVP sat in that chair last week, Tony.
Yeah.
And said, in so many words, Jackson Merrill.
You know who else hinted at it Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, go ahead and say it.
No, you go ahead
Okay,
first.
so Steven Strasburg said in so many words, it's more impressive that Jackson Merrill's able to be this consistent, this young, and play every day.
I thought Manny gave a nod
He
to
did.
it the other day, too.
He did.
Everyday player, man. That's
I thought a lot about what he said about Jackson. He only said like one thing about Jackson Merrill, but he was like, this is what I'm trying to tell Jackson. Like consistency, how to come to the ballpark every day, how to become a professional every day. And that's extremely valuable for Jackson Merrill to have a guy who's done it, played 10 years in
multiple
Major League
guys
Baseball.
that have done it in that locker room.
Xander Bogaerts,
he
Yu
can pick
Darvish,
from.
Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, this is a great environment for a young guy who is hungry and cares like he does.
Now, with all of that said, Tony, I said this yesterday to my friend. I think Paul Skeens is going to get the nod because that is a better story for baseball.
I don't know. I'm
going to go in that direction.
I don't know how it's going to end, but like I said, it does feel. I think Jackson should win it,
Yes, his team's competing. The Pirates are not.
but it does feel like the temperature has changed, and I think it speaks to the East Coast West Coast bias thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think the moment. Just think what Jackson had to do in order to even be put on that level.
He had to hit 8 walk-off home runs.
Yes, he had to have a week of walk-offs just to put him on the same playing field. And it was almost like it's starting to feel like he has to maintain that same level in order to keep the buzz loud enough to stretch across the whole United States. That's what it feels like right now.
It's disappointing, to be honest. It's very disappointing. I'm trying to figure out it because Jackson Merrill's hitting 290 right now. How many players are hitting 290? Or he's hitting 292. I'm
I'm
sorry.
about to say, don't shortchange my man. He was hitting 294. He didn't
He's
drop
in the
4
top
points.
14 players in baseball in batting average. There was a tweet yesterday.
Paul
that-
Skeens, I don't even believe has qualified yet for ERA.
No. It says it at the top of the stats page every time I log on. It says All-Star starting pitcher Paul Skeens does not yet qualify for the ERA title.
I wonder if the last start gets him there.
I don't know. I don't know the rules on that, but that's annoying because he hasn't been able to qualify. If you can't qualify for the ERA title, how can you qualify for Rookie of the Year?
That's not his fault.
It is his fault.
It's not his fault.
I'm trying to find this tweet.
It just feel. I hope we are reading this wrong. I hope that the buzz doesn't need to span across, and that it's just based on everything they've done. But I know
Here
it's
it
not.
is. Jackson Merrill has a 986 OPS since July 20th. He has a higher OPS than Shohei Ohtani in this time frame. The only qualified hitters with a higher OPS over this span are Aaron Judge, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bobby Witt Jr., and Yordan Alvarez. And then Jackson Merrill. Like, that just proves it to me right
Crazy.
there. It is crazy. All right. Let's go to the next. And this person had their son ask them a question that they thought was so smart they couldn't answer it. So they came to us.
All right.
Baseball's a great sport. Not only did I get to watch my heroes growing up, my 11-year-old son is getting to watch his heroes, and I think this is time I will cherish forever. One of his heroes is Robert Suarez, and he said he wants to be the closer one day. But he asked me something the other day, and it not only floored me because his understanding of baseball is higher than I thought, but it was a question I didn't really have an answer for. We were talking about bullpen strategy, and my son asked, quote, "Why is the closer role not matchup based?" I think he makes a good point, at least to me. Middle relief is usually matchup based, and the Padres have a righty in Suarez and a lefty in Scott. So why isn't the closer role matchup based, Tony?
It can be. It was. I mean, if you watched the Mets-Phillies game last night, they brought in Diaz in the 8th for an old-fashioned like 9-out save. It's just a 2-inning save, 6 outs, based on matchups. Top of the lineup was coming up at that time. I think middle relief is a little different. It's not always top of the lineup. It's lefty, righty. And in the middle of the game, you have the matchups, right? I mean, the whole point of having a quote-unquote closer is that he can get both guys out. And you don't have to then match up
That's his job.
Right? That's his job, is to get both lefties and righties out. Difference in the middle relief is part of the reason why those guys are middle relievers is because they may not have the stuff to get through some of the better hitters if they're not matchup based. Good question, though. I think for closers is a little bit different matchup based, right? You can come in the eighth and just pitch the eighth because that was the best part of the lineup if you're only going one inning. You know what I'm saying? But you could use your closer in the eighth, as we've seen the Padres do at times this year. So, yeah, I think it can be matchup based, and sometimes it is. I think it just looks different than middle relievers.
Tap says the Phils brought in Strom for that reason. Adam Klug, our boss, says Braves got a 6-out save from Iglesias yesterday.
So they're confirming what I just said.
They're confirming for sure. I think what Tony said is great. So, no. I mean, when I saw this question, when this guy sent it to me, I thought, you know what? What if the bottom of the ninth or top of the ninth or whatever it is, they have two lefties and a righty? Tanner Scott makes more sense for that.
Yes.
And so if Robert Suarez comes in the eighth and Tanner, I wonder if we see this in the playoffs, more of this, because Mike Schill has stuck with Robert Suarez, and I don't blame him because he's been great. But I wonder if we'll see it more in the playoffs. But then again, they're changing their strategy, which they haven't done all year.
It would take Robert Suarez to have some issues for us to see something different. And then it would have to line up in a way that fits that, right? What you're talking about in terms of
him
two lefties
and
a righty. Whose lineup is that? Well, the Dodgers have a little bit of left, right, left there with Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. So, I mean, I guess we could find out.
We'll find out
these next
week.
games.
All right, here we go to the final one. I believe this team is going to win the World Series. I believe this team is good enough to show they're the best team in baseball. However,
oh no,
I have baggage, as Skraby has said many times. My biggest worry is the Padres don't have that same magic they've had all year. I know.
Like when the playoffs start?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Nothing has changed, but I am going to irrationally worry until I see them in the playoffs. Tony, what is your biggest worry about the postseason?
I don't have any. Now, that does not mean that what was my man's name who said that?
I didn't put
no
it
name.
Yeah.
Said writer does not mean they're wrong about how they're finished, because we've seen Magic change jerseys come playoff time.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Diamondbacks last year.
How about 22? Padres and Phillies both weren't supposed to be there. Magic put on two different uniforms and then wore one in the Padre-Phillies series.
I love that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
So those things can happen. We've seen at least the first 2 years of this format, teams with bye go out after their first round of play.
Yeah.
So, anything can happen once you get there. So I don't think it's irrational, but I would say they have given us enough evidence for us to at least go into this experience calm.
In fact, I'm going to tell you at 3:20 why you should have no baggage heading into the playoffs.
Skraby's going to tell you guys at 3:20 why you shouldn't have baggage. I have to get out of here.
You're going to get on a bus.
Got to get ready for this trip to Los Angeles. Skraby will hold it down the rest of the day. I'll be back on with him tomorrow. Skraby, take it away.
All right. When we get back, we got the Daily Gambit. We also have the Survivor update, the Eliminator update. A lot of people are eliminated. It's down to just a few, so I'll tell you next on 97.3 Fan.
97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into Gwynn and Chris. I'm Matt Skraby. Tony off to LA for the Padres and Dodgers series this coming Tuesday. Yeah, tomorrow. Duh. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All games are at 7:10. Then you got the Diamondbacks over the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So the Padres have 6 very important games happening this week. And we're going to talk about more of what's ahead here in the rest of the show. Tony's going to rejoin us in the 3:40 segment for the Big Five. We have a good, bad, and the ugly at 4 o'clock. We're not going to be doing any Chris versus the fans today because I'm here by myself. But pay extra attention to the end of the Big Five. And then the good, bad, ugly. And also we're going to talk about Robert Suarez at the end of the show. We're going to talk about him multiple times throughout the show. So right now we are going to go into our daily gambit, but I'm going to hold off on that in just a second because we don't really have many bets today. And I wanted to address a question on the chat. There was someone asking about the Padres and the chance that they aren't going to make the playoffs. Well, here's what I read this morning from Kevin Acey. It says, here's the scenario. The Padres can clinch a playoff spot with a win tomorrow night in Los Angeles. That's the only way they can clinch that day. If they lose, even a loss by the Braves to the Mets tomorrow would leave open the remote possibility of a 3-way tie between the 3 teams that would end with the Padres as the odd team out. Now, that's a little scary. Again, it's a remote possibility, but the Padres, as we've said before, they're carrying through their own destiny, or their control of their own destiny. So if they win, they can take care of this. If they lose this week, it's going to get a little dicey. But I think there's so many things that have to go in a certain way for the Padres to miss out on the playoffs that it's unlikely that they're going to miss out on the playoffs. I feel like they're going to at least win one of these games from the Dodgers. I don't really want to get too confident about things, but there is a remote possibility, which does scare me a little bit. And again, I am not thinking that that's going to happen, but I want to make sure everyone knows the different scenarios out there for the Padres to to clinch the playoffs or to miss the playoffs. But they're not going to miss the playoffs. Everybody's in the same mindset about this. I think everybody knows that the Padres are a good enough team that they're going to take care of business, and that's going to happen tomorrow, starting tomorrow in LA, 7:10 p.m. Now, Sammy Lev, our guy Sammy Lev, who helped me out on Friday, he's great. He actually got to do an interview with Luis Arraez after the game yesterday, and I wanted to share this with everyone because I think it's very important to hear, and it's also it's also very important to know the mindset of what this team is looking at when they're at bat. So here's Sammy Lev after the game with Luis Arraez.
Luis, you come to the plate in the 8th inning, the tying run in scoring position. What are you thinking as you get ready to take that at bat?
I mean, I was ready. I just do my routine, and then I waited for my moment, and then I did it. I just tried to move the running, and then I got my double, and we won the game.
Another win here today, the 90th win of the season for this team. You finished the regular season home schedule with a W. As you guys get closer and closer to clinching a playoff spot, what is the mentality of this group?
Like I just said, it's close. The mental in this group is amazing because we stay together, we play together. If I don't do the job, somebody behind me finish the job, you know? So that's why we play really good baseball right now.
Another sold-out crowd here at Petco Park. Today set a new single-season attendance record in this building. What message do you have for these fans as they hopefully get ready for the postseason?
I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch this beautiful crowd when we play postseason here. I want to say thanks for the support and thanks for the support my teammates, and then we got a really good team. Thanks for the support.
Big series coming up in LA. You ready?
I'm ready. Everybody's ready.
Luis, as always, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Sammy Lev after the game with Luis Arraez yesterday. He came out, he had a huge hit yesterday, obviously, to help the Padres win. But yesterday, when I was watching that game, thinking, okay, maybe the Padres lose this one. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. But what they did at the end of the game is why I think that they're going to be okay in the playoffs. it's kind of hard sometimes to like force something in baseball when you absolutely need something to happen. It's kind of hard to just force a couple runs across. But yesterday in the 8th inning, the Padres, they were able to score 3 runs, and they were able to do it fundamentally, and they were able to do it relatively, not easy, I can't say easy, but they were able to do it the right way. And this is what this team is playing like right now. They're playing like playoff baseball, even though it was against the White Sox. I understand that some people might not understand that they should be. Some people may think that the Padres would need to score 10 runs against the White Sox. It just doesn't work that way. But I do think that this team is in the right mindset. And so, again, I don't and Adam said on the chat, our boss Adam, he said there needs to be the right combination of wins and losses by 3 teams for the Padres to miss out. Again, I don't think they're going to miss out, but I do need to present the possibility. Luis Arraez, though, his approach is impressive because it never changes. And it always, I think that Luis Arraez, as we've gone through the year, has won people over, and he should win people over with the things that he does. I mean, when the Padres have needed a hit lately, Luis Arraez has come up with that hit. And he did yesterday. Jurickson Profar, sac fly, Fernando Tatis Jr., home run. Everything was working for the Padres in the 8th inning yesterday, and that's a good sign for me, at least, to know that they can come back in the bottom of the 8th inning and beat a team. And they've been doing it all year. And next segment, like I said, I'm going to tell you why we should not have baggage from the past, because there are some stats that I'm going to bring forth that will tell you why we should not have baggage from the past. But I do think that this Padres team, when Luis Arraez says they're ready, I fully believe him because they look ready. They look the part of a playoff team, and I think that's very important as well. There are certain teams where you see them and you're like, oh, maybe they're a playoff team because they made the playoffs, but they're not actually a playoff team. Right now, things are going really well for the Padres, and as Tony said in the beginning of the show, the Padres, everything has been going well since after that first game out of the All-Star break when they got shut out by the Guardians. After that, everything has come together, and they're working their way towards a big-time playoff run, I think, at least. I know maybe I'm getting ahead of myself just a little bit, but I don't think I am. I really don't think I am. I think a lot of other people are feeling the same way. And, yeah. All right. We'll get back into the Padres here shortly. We're going to have the Big Five at the end of the hour. But here is the Eliminator, the 97.3 The Fan Eliminator pool. Now, if you're in it, you know whether or not you survived or not. I have ordered the championship belt. It should be here in a little bit. It should be here this week. So I will show everyone. And we're really, really close to getting a winner in this thing. And it's only week 3. The first 3 weeks of this Survivor season have been brutal. None of the teams that were supposed to win and were the favorites to win won. So in the first week, most people went out by choosing the Bengals to beat the Patriots. That did not happen. And a lot of people went out in that one. So let me go back to week 1. Surviving, 109 survived in week 1. 97 were eliminated in week 1. In week 2, we had the Chargers were the top vote getter in that one, but 51 survived week 2, 58 eliminated in week 2, and that would be because the Ravens lost to the Raiders. Most people lost because of that one. And then if you go to week 3, there's only 17 Survivor players left. 17 Survivor players left in this whole thing. Out of 206, 34 were eliminated yesterday. And most of those people picked the Buccaneers to lose to the Broncos. 31.4% of the people picked that. Did not happen, as we know. Raiders and Panthers were the second most selected matchup, 21.6%. So right now, there are 17 people left. Pretty insane that is coming down. We're going to be done by like week 6. I swear we're going to be done by week 6. I mean, how else can they... I don't see people battling it out until the end of time, till the end of the season. But that's, I do like Eliminator, but I don't like Eliminator at the same time, mainly because I'm not in it anymore. Week 1, I got eliminated. Chris and Tony got eliminated in week 2. And so week 3, it's not as fun because you can't go through the season. But then you may say as well, pick the right team and you won't have a problem. And that is true. Now, I have to address something also that I read on the chat in the break. And I know that the guys in the morning show talked a little bit about the fantasy matchup between Ben Higgins and I. And let me tell you, in this fantasy football league that the Padres PR team started, I'm going to be 0-3. It's just not going to. There's no way around it. I'm going to be 0-3. I have not had good luck in that league, and I lost the first week by 0.5. It was like 134.8 to 134.3, and it was because Puka Nacua got hurt, and he didn't get me at least one more catch. But this week against Ben, I'm trying to get the exact score just so I have it. Stick to Sports, which I do like Ben's name. He has 99.26 points. I have 87.5. My team is done for the day or for the week. So I can't score any more than 87.5. Now, M. McKee on the chat told me that Ben wanted to sit his defense so that he didn't lose. Now, a 12-point lead is a lot when you have a defense left. Like, I don't think you can get negative 12 points for a defense. That would be extremely hard to do. But I'm looking at it right now. Ben Higgins had the Cincinnati defense. They're playing tonight against the Commanders. Guess what? The Cincinnati defense is on his bench. And I think this is wrong. I think it's wrong, not because I think I'm going to win, but you have to play your teams. We said this last week with Chris talking about his wife Lori's team. She wanted to possibly sit Devontae Smith. She was up by a couple points. Maybe he fumbles or something like that, gets injured, goes out of the game. I think this is kind of lame. You got to play out your people. You can't just sit people because you're afraid they're going to get negative points. And you can't just sit a defense because you're afraid they're going to get negative points. They're not going to get negative points. And I guess in the long run, sitting a defense is going to hurt you because if they scored, a bunch of points at the end of the year, you might need those points to break a tiebreaker. So I'm not sure why Ben Higgins is going to be sitting his defense. I'm just not sure, but it's there. It's already happened. He's already made the move. He's already put the Cincinnati defense on the bench, and I'm not really excited about that. Katrina says, Skraby not bitter enough to not know the exact point total. Well, that's true. I mean, I have 4 leagues now, and I think it's a little too much. I bit off more than I can chew, to be honest, with the fantasy football this year. I'm going to have to readjust next year because there are just so many things happening. I got a lot of injuries. I can't keep my team straight, so that's why I had to go and look at the score. Nate says, but isn't it a strategy to guarantee a W? It's like taking a knee. No, it's not like taking a knee whatsoever. Taking a knee means you've already won the game. If you play your defense, number one, they're not going to get negative 12 points. They're not. And I shouldn't be this mad about it. I'm not mad about it because I don't have any chance to win, but that's not like taking a knee at all. It's like giving up on the week before you even get to the end. That's what it is. So Ben Higgins sits his defense against me. Not happy about that. Not happy about it at all. All right, I'm Matt Skraby. Chris Ello on vacation. Tony Gwynn Jr. will rejoin me for the Big Five here in just a little bit. But when we get back, I'm going to tell you why this team is not last year's team. I know we've been talking about it a lot, but I have some numbers to back that up. So all of that's going to be next. We're also going to hear some quotes from Donovan Solano. So stick around. Gwynn and Chris will be back shortly, but here's your traffic.
From the
Matt Skraby here for Gwynn and Chris. Tony traveling up to Los Angeles for the Dodgers and the Padres series this week. First Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then they go to Arizona Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then the regular season is over. Chris Ello is on vacation. He'll be back here in about a week or so. So I will be helping run the ship here until Chris gets back. But the next couple days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it's going to be Braden Soprenet and myself. He's going to be joining me throughout the week to talk, just be on the show. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with Braden, and Tony's still going to be on the show too. But all of these starts this week in LA are going to be at 7:10. So we have a longer show than normal 6:40 starts. We're going to be going to like 6:05 every single day. So lots of Gwynn and Chris this week. I promise you that. Now, there's still lots of questions on the chat in regards to if the Padres can be eliminated. I can tell you I'm not making these things up. I am looking at smarter people and what they're saying on that I can trust and bringing it to all of you. So I don't necessarily want your calculations in my email inbox. I did see someone saying they wanted to email their calculations, but they could still, as we said last segment, miss the playoffs. But here's the more positive route. And this is from Kevin Acey. The Padres still control their own destiny as they won the season series against the Dodgers, so they can win the division by winning out, because doing so would include sweeping the Dodgers in their 3-game series in LA starting tomorrow. The Padres could also win the division by going 5-1, but the Dodgers would have to be no better than 2-4 this week. And again, if you were thinking before the year that the Padres could actually win the division, I don't know that many of us were thinking about that. Many of us were trying to just keep our focus on the wild card because we just really wanted a playoff spot. But here we are in the last week of the season, and the Padres have played so well this season that they are right there with a chance to win the division. Everything could change for the Padres in the playoffs. The matchups would change. A lot would change if they were able to win the division. And the Dodgers, they've played good baseball as of late, but I could totally see the Dodgers going 2-4. Now, they finished their season against the Rockies in Colorado. So if the Rockies can play spoiler, that would be fantastic. But, I'm not really counting on the Rockies. We can't count on the Rockies to play spoiler, but that could happen. I mean, they could win a couple games to finish out the year. Kudos to Bud Black for keeping his team together throughout this entire season, even though they've been bad at points. I mean, if the Rockies could beat the Padres like they've done in the last few years, then why can't the Rockies beat the Dodgers? I think that's only fair to spread the wealth. And so I tease coming into this segment that this team is not last year's team. And again, I know we all have baggage from the past, and we've talked about it recently, but I'm here to keep reminding myself and to any of you who have baggage out there about the Padres that this team is not last year's team. And here's a few reasons as to why this team is not like last year's team. So yesterday it was their 96th inning, scoring 3 or more runs, which is great. It gave them their 37th comeback victory, their 32nd victory secured in the 7th inning or later, and their 21st victory in which the deciding runs were scored in their final offensive inning. So through 156 games this year versus last year, 21 times a win was earned with the run and final team at bat. So not a walk-off, but because they could be on the road as well, but 21 times this year. In 2023, only 8 times. So that's a lot more. This year, comeback victories through 156 games, they have 37 of those. Last year, they had 27, which is a lot more than I would have thought, to be honest, because last year, all I remember is them losing leads, not coming back and winning games. This year, with a win when trailing or tied in the 7th or later, they have completed 32 wins when trailing or tied in the 7th inning or later. In 2023, it's only 18. And then 3-run innings this year, 96 innings, they've scored 3 or more runs. And last year they scored 85. But that's not just, those are just raw numbers. Those are just numbers, team numbers. The thing that really makes me feel like this is a lot different than last year is how Jurickson Profar has played this year. Jurickson Profar was on the Rockies for most of last year. He came to the Padres at the end of the year, and he was pretty good for them. But I think when we came into the year, I know I said it a couple times on the Skraby show leading into the season that I don't think Jurickson Profar is going to change the fortunes of this team, and I couldn't have been more wrong about this. He's a steal. He's only $1 million. I think he's made around $2.5 million this year with incentives, which is well deserved. But here's why I think this year is different, because Jurickson Profar, every time that we think that he is, and this is just one of the reasons, but every time that we think that Jurickson Profar is done being the Jurickson Profar we saw early in the year, it's actually a time when Jurickson Profar can show that he is still that guy, because he went through some struggles here. From 22 games from August 11th to September 4th, he hit 165 and 98 plate appearances. Now, yesterday, he was able to put the Padres up 3-2 with a sac fly, and that was a team-leading 15th game-deciding RBI. And yesterday also was the 6th victory of the season in which Profar drove in at least half the Padres' runs, tied with Manny and Jackson Merrill for most on the team. But what is even more encouraging to me, we talked about those numbers in the 22-game stretch from August 11th to September 4th, but in the last, let's see here, in the last 15 games, he is hitting .345, 4 doubles, 3 home runs, and 6 walks. And yesterday he went 2 for 3. That is encouraging to me, because Jurickson Profar is continuing to be the Jurickson Profar that we saw earlier in the year. I don't doubt. I don't have any doubt in Jurickson Profar, but I would be lying if I didn't say that at certain points recently in the last maybe 2 months, I would think that Jurickson Profar we've seen the best of the Jurickson Profar. Jurickson Profar, I believe it's his 11th major league season. So it's not like he's and I'm not calling him old by any means. It's not like he's a spring chicken. I mean, he's been playing baseball for a long time. A lot of damage on that knee. We know that his knee does, hurt from time to time. But all he's done this year is be great for the Padres, and all he continues to do this year is be great for the Padres. So that is one of the reasons that I really think Padres are a different team this year, along with the wins when trailing or tied in 7th inning or later, because I can't even tell you how many times last year the Padres would go down and I would be like, okay, well, that's it. There's no real hope for them to come back. But this year I'm sticking it out, like on Friday night. On Friday night, the Padres up 2-0. Robert Suarez gives up that 2-run home run to Sosa on the White Sox. And I'm sitting there thinking, they really had this one wrapped up. Robert Suarez gave it away, and now they're going to have to play some extra inning games. But the extra innings have been so good to the Padres this year that I really don't have any worries when they're at home in the extras, and they were able to get the White Sox off the bases without having the ghost runner score. And then Fernando comes up, walks it off. It's still kind of strange to me that Fernando it's his second walk-off of his career, and he's done both of them in the last month. And I saw someone on Twitter reply to me saying that they were there for both of them. So you know who you are. You should keep going back to those games, because we want to see some more Fernando walk-offs. But those types of situations are what build you for the postseason in my mind. When you can make comebacks late in the game, no matter when it is, and as we talked about in the last segment, they made something happen yesterday. And that's not even to mention, like, the players that have been added to this team since the trade deadline, and how many of those guys are helping out the team right now. And Donovan Solano said yesterday, or he said it to Bryce Miller in the San Diego Union Tribune. They were asking him about the team and what he thinks of the team, what he thinks of the team heading into the playoffs. He said, quote, "We have everything. We have guys who can hit, starting pitching, bullpen guys. We're solid for the playoffs. We're confident. We're ready to compete. We're ready for any situation, no matter what the score is. We think we can do it, and we are doing it." And that's exactly hammering home my point. When they need to score, they have belief in themselves, and they get it done. And that is why there's no baggage, at least in my mind, heading into the postseason or heading into this final week. I know I'm going to keep knocking on wood, because I know that there is still an opportunity that they miss the postseason. I know I just got done telling everyone I don't think they're going to miss the postseason, But at the same time, that possibility is there. All they have to do is win tomorrow night. All they have to do. Win tomorrow night, and they're in the postseason. If they are able to go 5-1 this week, and the Dodgers go 2-4, they win the division. And that means that they've been playing great baseball if they're up for the division here at the end of the year. It's just not, I think it's just not something that we were talking about before the season. And maybe we should have. But the Dodgers on paper look good. I mean, the Padres have 90 wins right now. Dodgers have 93 wins. If you look around baseball, the Phillies have 92 wins. The Yankees have 92 wins. And again, the Dodgers have 93. They have the most wins in baseball. The Padres have 90 wins. They're 3 wins off the most wins in baseball. So that should show you everything you need to know about how great this team has played this year, or at least in the second half since the All-Star break. Because I know that the first half was filled with some, stress and things of that nature. But we got through it. We got through the All-Star break, and the Padres are looking at, I don't know. Let's see. They have 6 games left. They go 5-1. They're 95 wins. I think that's a lot more wins than people were thinking they could accomplish this season. And I know for a fact. I said that they were going to have like 93 or 94 wins, and Chris laughed at me. So when they finish with 93 or 94 wins, I will be bringing that up to Chris. I will be, because it's not nice to laugh at someone when they're actually in the end right. That's my soapbox of the day. All right. This is Gwynn and Chris. I'm Matt Skraby. Tony is going to be back here shortly in the next segment for the Big Five, and Chris L is on vacation. He will be back next week. And in the Big Five, we're going to talk about the Cincinnati Reds firing David Bell. We're going to talk about the attendance at Petco Park this season. We're also going to talk about what Antonio Pierce said about his Raiders yesterday. So the Big Five up next here on 97.3 The Fan.
Odyssey's annual.
97.3 The Fan. If I'm out of breath, it's because I had to run down the hallway to check on something. But I'm back, and I swear I'm not that out of shape. Maybe. But I think I'm not that out of shape. Anyway, it is Big Five time, and Tony and I recorded this a little bit earlier, but we'll get to Big Five right after traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Vicky Pepper.
This report brought to you by MTS, reminding you that trolleys run every 15 minutes or better. 8 west at the 125, a wreck on the shoulder. 15 south at Mira Mesa, an accident in the center divider. Don't let traffic drag your day down. Whether headed to the office or game day, go the easy way with MTS. Trolleys run every 15 minutes or better throughout the day. Learn more and plan your trolley trip at sdmts.com. That's sdmts.com. I'm Vicky Pepper with Gwynn and Chris on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
So much happened over the weekend. We've talked about a lot of it already, but we're going to get into some of the other stories here. But first, if you love Mediterranean food, try Spiro's for authentic Mediterranean cuisine in Coronado or La Jolla. For dining or takeout options, visit spiroscuisine.com. I walked by these Spiro's in Petco on Friday night, and there was a line down the entire corridor, Tony. So you got to go early to Spiro's.
Yeah,
if you want
mess
something.
around and be hungry in a long line. It's not really what you want.
It's not what you want at all. But there you go, spiroscuisine.com. All right, let's get into
Number
it.
5.
And Padres fans set a record this season for attendance at Petco Park with 3,314,593 fans seeing the Padres win a whole lot of games this season. So, Tony, you're going to have an interesting perspective as a former player. How much do you really think fans play a part in a long season?
I think they play a big part. I think, especially when your team is competitive, they can create what is, I think tough to do in baseball, create a real home field advantage. And I think the Padres fans are on the cusp of doing that. There are very few that are truly, tough places to go play. And I just think that's done by the type of energy, the type of engagement that you have throughout the game. And, I think the playoffs is really where you make a fan base can make the name for themselves. So, given if the Padres magic number of 1, if they get a victory tomorrow, everybody will have their shot to try to. I just know from 2022, a lot of people who came to San Diego who weren't from San Diego talk about the atmosphere in the playoffs that year. So kind of built a reputation in terms of that. They're gonna have to match it.
Yeah, a Friday night.
If not, outdo it.
Yes, I think they will outdo it because that was the first taste in 2022. But Friday night there was over 45,000 people there to see a game between the Padres and
the White Sox.
White Sox,
crazy.
I don't know how much of that was like I get to see history here because I
don't
that's
think
kinda
any
fun.
of it was history
No?
because you go back to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was the same thing with the Astros in town. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you would have flip-flopped that, I think it still would have been if the White Sox would have came Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the Astros, I think you'd have got the same exact results. And that's in due to how well the Padres are playing as well.
Yes, I asked for tickets on Friday, and when I sent the email, I said they're not in that high demand, so I think there should be some available.
Yeah,
and they
right.
sent back like, dude, these are some of the hottest tickets right now in San Diego. So,
Without question.
yeah.
Number 4.
The Cincinnati Reds fired manager David Bell on Sunday with 5 games to go in a disappointing season that began with the Reds as playoff contenders and will end with them missing the postseason for the 10th consecutive full season. But Bell received a 3-year contract extension in July 2023 after the Reds surged into contention following the 100-loss season they had in 2022. Now, injury and underperformance is why he was let go, because things just did not go well. It's his 5th season as the manager of the Reds. He had a record of 409 wins and 456 losses. I guess I'm up first. Do you think he deserved to be fired? I can't see him getting a lot of help from the Cincinnati Reds organization, but after 5 seasons and you have a below 500 record, I don't know that he necessarily deserved to be fired, but I understand the firing, and I think that they probably wanted a new voice in there. And my friend in Cincinnati texted him immediately. He said he's very happy about this. My other friend in Cincinnati said he's not happy about this because he liked David Bell. He thought David Bell did some good things while manager of the Reds. So, Tony, what do you think? Do you think he deserved to be fired?
No, I don't. I think that team is about where they should be right now. About just below 500, right at 500. Yep. They're not far off of it.
Yeah, they're right there.
They're teetering. I don't know that they have the starting pitching to be better than where they are. They got a lot of young guys. Ellie De La Cruz is doing his thing. I think you had some other guys who were injured a little bit this year. So I don't know. In that division, I mean, maybe you can make the argument. And listen, they were in it for a little bit there the first half before they kind of, fell behind a little bit. So I don't know. I think this one could have gone either way. I think I wouldn't have batted an eye if they would have retained him for another year. But given the way sports is in general now, I can't say that I'm surprised that David's gone now. I mean, it's kind of weird though with 6 games. I'm just saying, and they said that they used this lame excuse about being able to interview candidates in the next You could do that literally after the season's over.
You have 1 week of the season left.
It just doesn't make a ton of sense.
It doesn't make a ton of sense, and they also have to pay him out for the contract extension that they gave him just last year. So, it doesn't make a lot of sense for the Reds to do what they did, but they did.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens in Cincinnati for those Reds fans. We're going to talk about Reds fans here again at number 1.
Number 3.
Now, NFL yesterday, one of the most shocking results, I think, was the Panthers beating the Raiders, and the Raiders were at home. And Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce did not hold back his thoughts when talking to the media after their 36-22 drubbing to the Panthers. Here he is talking about it after the game. He was asked, kind of for a little bit of a review of the performance of his team.
No, they didn't. I think as the game went on, I don't think it was a team. I think there was definitely some individuals that made business decisions, and we'll make business decisions going forward as well.
Great line right there by Antonio Pierce. If that doesn't get your team's attention, I don't know what will get their attention. They beat the Ravens on the road last week, so it's surprising. But Tony, what would you do with a player that made a business decision?
I would like to believe I would do just what Antonio Pierce did. Put said player or players on notice. All right, because football is funny, because, they have those film sessions, and those things...
Eye in the sky don't lie.
Those things stand out like a sore thumb. You know what I'm saying? So, I would have done what Antonio Pierce did. I don't think there's a lot of coaches that have taken this approach before. I can't think of very many. But... I like this. I like this a lot because, part of the reason why he earned that job is because he was changing the culture around Raiders football. And I like that the moment it looks like something's starting to seep in a little bit, he's on top of it. And so I think this does 2 things. It puts the players on notice, but it also, the ones who are doing the things right, they're now putting on notice, right? All right, well, I know I gotta keep doing the things that I'm doing, keep doing the right things on the football field. I like this though from Pierce.
Yeah, I do too. What would I do? Well, fans number 1 went through some of the video.
Yeah, I love the millions. I would say probably thousands of new football coaches out there on Twitter.
Yes.
It is
John
amazing.
Madden is all
it
over
is
the
amazing.
Place. But they went through the film because you can get every single angle basically that teams have now. And there's a couple plays that people have highlighted, and you can see there was a run towards a corner, corner, and he kind of ducked out of the way real quick and then jumped on the pile after the guy was tackled. I think that was probably something that Antonio Pierce was talking about. But you're right. I mean, this is their warning, and if they do it again, then they're probably going to get let go from the team, and they should probably pay attention to Antonio Pierce because he seems pretty serious.
Number 2.
Now, with the White Sox tying the record for most losses in a season yesterday, former Major Leaguer Mike Cameron had a thought about how to make teams more competitive.
I saw this.
He tweeted, "I think if you lose a 99 to 110 games in Major League Baseball, you should have no less than a payroll of $100 million the next year. Then you can't go under that for the next 4 years." I'm up first. What do you think? I think this is great. I think this is hilarious. I think it's a good idea. I don't think it will ever happen, though, because how are these teams going to pay for the $100 million plus payroll over the next 4 years? But it is an interesting thought.
His point is that he thinks they can pay it.
They probably can.
They're just deciding to make the money in this case. Now, I don't know what the unintended consequences of a move like this would be in terms of like what happens if they do it the 1 year and then you're forcing them to stay. I don't know what the unintended consequences are, but I like the idea.
It forces teams to be competitive.
I like the idea, right? So that would mean your bottom, so he said 99 to 100. So mind you, first of all, losing 100 games in a season is tough to do. We're only going to have, 2 this year? The Rockies are 6 away, I think?
I'm going to get the exact standings here right now. The Rockies are 60 and 96. So they have 4 until they get to 100.
They're 4 away. So they got to go 2 and 4 over the last 6 to hit the spot, right?
If I'm looking at the standings now. If he's saying between 99 and 110 losses, the White Sox qualify, the Marlins qualify, and the Rockies probably qualify.
Mind you, that's not everybody. That's like it's probably going to be 1 to 3 teams every year. I'm sure there will be some years where you get 4. But the point is, if you're losing that many games, like you got some serious issues to address at this point.
You do.
And the forcing them to spend $100 million. Now maybe we can come up with a better number than $100 million, because it seems like that might be a little bit much. But I like the premise of the idea. I really do.
Something. If you finish below the A's, you should be relegated.
Just think how fun this last week of baseball is going to be with the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Mets, the Braves on one side. And the American League side, you got Baltimore, the Twins, the Royals, the Detroit Tigers. That's 8 teams competing for, 6 spots.
Even the Mariners are 2 games
Mariners
back.
are 2 games back, right? So you could maybe possibly add another couple teams that are in the same spot next year. That's make this whole thing a lot of fun down the stretch.
Yeah, I think I like this season. There's no truly dominant team, and the Yankees won 92 games. The Dodgers have won 93. The Phillies, but everybody's bunched up right there. It seems pretty even. So, all right. I like Mike Cameron's idea. I also like relegation. I just don't know. Bring up the Louisiana baby cakes.
You can't. They don't have the facilities. It's too difficult.
That would be fun, though. Isn't that the one, the baby cakes that looks like mud?
Yeah. Yes.
Number 1.
I came across this post on X, and here's how it went. Quote, "I've officially attended every single Reds home game in 2024, this fan said. Now, the Reds have been eliminated since last week and have been pretty mediocre all year long, as we talked earlier in the Big Five. But people are calling on the Reds to give this person season tickets next year as a show of good faith to a fan who stuck by his team all season long. Tony, do you think the Reds should give him season tickets?"
No, I don't. Why?
Because he went to every home game.
Great. They didn't tell him he had to come? No, you should. I'm sure there are other people who've gone to every home game aren't getting season tickets, man. You want to.
Did they post on X?
You want a prize for going to watch.
This person's not saying this. People are trying to get this person.
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing. Why do we do that? The people who are involved ain't even dripping about this, and just randos are we should give them free tickets. I don't understand it.
Originally, I was yeah, you should give them free tickets. But you're right. I mean, maybe this person already has season tickets because they went to every home game.
How else are they going? Do you think they're just showing? I mean, they probably could.
One, please. Every single game.
What are we doing?
I think it's pretty impressive that this fan went to every home game.
Definitely.
That's
a true fan. Right
That is
there.
a true fan. It's like if a White Sox fan went to every single game.
He's he's being teased. Like he gets some like good baseball for like a week, and then like
terrible
baseball for a week and a half. Yeah.
He gets to see guys like Ellie De La Cruz and Hunter Green and things like that. So
100%.
It's not the worst thing in the world. But 513 Caleb on X has a picture up if you want to see where they were sitting the entire season. So today's a little bit different. We're not going to be able to do any of the games that we'd usually do at 4 p.m. So right now, if you give us a call, you will be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Wynn or Encore Las Vegas, and 2 tickets to see Awakening. Awakening, the thrilling spectacle at Wynn Las Vegas, dazzles audiences with soaring aerialists, bounding acrobats, high-energy choreography, and comedic moments. At the heart of this compelling story, a hero must confront the forces of light and darkness in a quest to save the world. Tony, I know you're interested. A mythic adventure unfolds, set him in the most technologically immersive theater ever designed. Tickets are on sale now at awakening.com. When we get back, the good, the bad, and the ugly of Week 3 in the NFL. Give us a call, 833-288-0973.
Padres, Dodgers, tomorrow.
Gonna go! Home run, Xander Bogart!
Pre-game, 6:10. First pitch, 7:10. The Padres play here on 97.3. The
It starts right now on 97.3 The Fan.
Welcome into the 4 p.m. hour here on Gwynn and Chris, 97.3 The Fan. I'm Matt Skraby, here with you until about 4:27-ish, when we will send it over to Monday Night Football coverage between the Bengals and the Commanders from Cincinnati. There's actually 2 NFL games happening tonight. The Bills are taking on the Jaguars. I'm not a fan of these 2 games because they're not staggered enough. I think if you're going to have 2 games on a Monday night, you should probably stagger them a little bit more. Because last year there was a really good result or ending to a game that they had, the second game, but most people were watching the other game, and so yeah, it was a little bit confusing there for me at least. I mean, I guess I'm just not that good at paying attention to things. I do have ADD, ADHD. I get distracted easily by shiny objects, all of the above. If you want to watch on YouTube, you can search 97.3 The Fan. We are mostly on it throughout the show. And just make sure you go and you like and subscribe to 97.3 The Fan. You like this YouTube show, because then it will help us to get more and more cool things to do on the show. All right. I think it's time to get into the GBU. And Chris did not provide it for me today. And if you don't know, the GBU is the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we just cover all of we choose 3 games from each category. So Tony and I did this earlier, and here it is. One of my favorites. Chris takes a vacation, and I get to do the good, bad, and the ugly. Because we all know that Chris kind of puts his Dolphins a little bit higher than they should be. So
I'm just happy that I get to play the piano.
You always play the piano
while the music is going.
It's so funny. Tony has been doing this for years. He thinks that this song is a piano, but we're not going to go over that.
I no longer think it is a piano. I just think it goes better with a piano. Exactly, like an air piano.
Yeah, it does.
It works better.
I honestly don't even know what this is.
I don't know what it is either, but this works.
It does. It does. All right, let's start with our first game in the good category, and it's going to go to my former high school teammate and current Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell and his team for beating the Texans 34-7. Justin Jefferson is having no problems with Sam Darnold at quarterback.
Now the pocket breaks down. Darnold scrambling to his left, throwing end zone, caught, touchdown, Justin Jefferson, and he spins the ball in celebration. What a start for Minnesota.
And that would be 8 touchdown passes now in the season for Sam Darnold through 3 weeks. He leads the NFL in that category. The Vikings just destroyed the Texans in this game, and it was very surprising to me.
Couple things pop up to mind. More than a couple things, actually. Sam Darnold playing this well. It seems like some people, I think people in that Minnesota organization saw this coming. Now, can he keep it up? We'll find out. It also makes me think about when he left USC. I think it's a great kind of illustration of why sometimes staying in school works out for us.
Chargers were in Pittsburgh. It seems like the Chargers always have a hard time in Pittsburgh. The Steelers won this game 20-10, and the Steelers are now 3-0 as well. Mike Tomlin doing his magic again, and Justin Fields playing better each and every game. Here is a long touchdown pass.
Fields back to pass, throws over the middle of the field. It's Calvin Austin. He has a step. Austin heading straight up the middle of the field. Inside the 10, to the 5, touchdown. Calvin Austin, 55 yards from Fields to Austin.
Now, Justin Herbert went down, and his x-rays are negative. Justin Herbert will not survive this season if he keeps getting hit like he's getting hit every single game. I think Joe Alt went out. Joey Bosa's a given. He's going to leave the game at some point during every single week. I mean, Chargers, they're 2-1 now. They have Jim Harbaugh, but I think the story here is the Steelers.
No doubt. There's a piece of me that's not happy to see Justin Fields play well because I want Russell Wilson to have a chance to play. But I don't think that's going to happen for now. And that's not to say that Justin Fields is going to keep the job, but he looked good against the Chargers. I mean, he had a great game throwing the ball. I think obviously his dynamic ability to run the ball is just something teams got to deal with. And I give him a lot of credit, man, He has looked. It didn't come in it didn't come right away, and I still haven't seen him complete the deep ball. I mean, I think that 55-yarder was like a 10-yard pass that the receiver took to the house. Either way, great for him to put it in a spot where he could do it. But he's played well, man. He deserves to keep going out there and earning that or keeping that starting position.
Absolutely. Mike Tomlin on his way to Coach of the Year again. Final in the good category today would be the Packers over the Titans. Malik Willis gets his revenge on the Titans. They drafted him and everything, and then they traded him away. But I don't know if you saw this last week.
For the mayonnaise man?
For the mayonnaise man, for Will Levis. I don't know if you saw this last week, but they asked him, are you ready to get back at your team or the team that drafted you and then gave you away? He's like, no, I got nothing but love for them. They gave me an opportunity, and I'm happy about that. I
saw that.
Which disarmed every reporter in that room. So
you just like it. You like the humility with it. I mean, instead of thinking about revenge, although
some people need it.
It's okay to have a little revenge in mind to a certain extent. But, yeah, man, I did see those comments. Good on him.
Malik Willis, though, he did a whole lot yesterday. Here is a touchdown to get it started.
Faking the handoff. Willis on a bootleg to the right side. Makes the turn to the end zone. He's in for the touchdown. Malik Willis on a 5-yard touchdown scamper around the right end, and the Packers strike first.
Packers win 30-14. Malik Willis had one touchdown passing, 13 for 19, 202 yards, and then 73 yards rushing. So he's getting comfortable. Jordan Love's going to come back.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't get too comfortable because once Jordan Love. And by the way, I watched Jordan Love warm up before that game. I thought for sure he was playing.
Me too.
I thought for sure, like, there's no way he's not playing, moving around like that. But
me too.
They kept him out. They get another win, and my least favorite coach is just
Matt LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur just continues to find a way to get it done, man.
Anybody who can coach with your hair not moving an inch is weird to me because that hair does not move. No, it's pretty incredible.
Speaking of Will Levis, I think he threw a pick six in this one too, didn't he? Pretty sure he did.
Well, that would be 3 games, right?
Yeah. Well, I know he had 2 ridiculously shouldn't have happened picks, but
his turnovers are bad.
This one was just, I think he threw it. My man got to it.
His turnovers are bad. He's gonna have to fix that real quick.
His head coach did defend him though after this game, so he
didn't scream in his face. What the f are you doing?
he didn't have one of those type of turnovers today.
So we went with the sympathetic approach this time. All right, we'll see how that works for him. The first game in the bad category would be it's bad for the 49ers. Everybody, Rams win 27-24. They score 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter.
Walk them boys down.
Yes, and here is a Stanford kicker. Like, I don't know why this bothers me more than any other kicker, but a rookie Stanford kicker trying to win the game for the Rams.
From 37 to win it. The rookie with the right foot. Kickoff away, and it's a Cardi party at SoFi Stadium. 27-24.
A Cardi party.
Cardi party.
49ers, they blew this one. Like, they had this one. It was so bad. I'm not kidding, Tony. We looked over to the Rams sideline in the first quarter when the 49ers were just destroying the Rams defense. Jimmy G was warming up. Like, it was like maybe to the point where they're like, we're just going to give up on this game. Matthew Stafford could
come sit down.
Sit down. Jimmy G will just get beat up in this game. They ended up winning. Matthew Stafford threw a long pass to Tutu Atwell at the end. I was on that end. It's really fun to see it in person because I saw it flying, and I'm like, and I looked down, and Charvarius Ward is like one step behind.
No!
I'm like, oh, it's gonna fall in, and it fell in, and then the Rams won. So.
I liked Williams' touchdown run, the front flip into the end zone.
Oh yes,
that was
yes.
nasty.
Kyron Williams.
That's your running back, isn't it?
He is, yes. And the last 2 times I went to the game last year.
How was that cheering for your fantasy back against your team?
I didn't cheer for him. I didn't.
You were silently hating on your old player.
Yes, because I didn't really, I needed him to do what he did, obviously, in the fantasy matchup, but it wasn't imperative, so I was like, okay, he's got 3 touchdowns. Last year, he had 3 touchdowns. So
maybe you need to stop going.
Or I need to keep going. I need to keep going to
however
this
you
game.
look at it.
Yes, there you go. That's the 49ers being terrible. Now, Juwan Jennings, I gotta say, dude had a huge day, and Brandon Ayuk was nowhere to be found.
That is true because he's
game.
on my fantasy team and he has sucked.
I will tell you that they looked for him a lot yesterday, and I think there was probably some coverage toward him, and Juwan Jennings was open, but he needs to step up.
Even though there's coverage on him, you got to figure out a way to get the ball.
Does Justin Jefferson care if there's double coverage? He's getting paid like Justin Jefferson.
You know what? Go ahead then.
I'm tired of it. And then he drops the lateral at the end? Like, come on.
I mean, I wasn't about to score on that, though.
Are you serious? From my angle, it was going in.
Y'all wasn't about to score
It was
on that.
going in. Brock Purdy missing wide open. Anyway, next game.
Yeah, this is a GB.
This is a GBU, not a GB49.
Right.
Ravens beat the Cowboys 28-25, but I think what's what's crazy about this game is that it was so lopsided until the Cowboys somehow scored 19 points to finish it up. But I did not get to see much of this one. Derrick Henry with a huge day, Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb getting into it on the sideline. But here is King Henry with one of his touchdowns.
Gives to Derrick Henry, running right up the middle. He's got a hole. He's to the 15. Henry to the 10. The 5. Touchdown, Ravens! The train is rolling, and the King scores again!
I don't know why he had to get so
And the
royal.
King scores
I know.
again!
He was like, touchdown! Doo, 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 doo. But, yeah, the Cowboys fall 1-2 on the season. The Ravens are now 1-2 on the season. But this is not good for Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys. They're looking not good. I can't say that I hate that the Cowboys are 1-2.
I definitely don't
I
hate
actually
it.
kind of enjoy it a little
It's
bit.
been quite savory to enjoy.
Savory. Dave Marcus is crying somewhere right now because of his Cowboys losing.
I was giving him the business all weekend. UCLA got
great.
thumped, and then the Cowboys got thumped.
Bad weekend for Dave.
It was a bad weekend for my man Dave.
All right, we got to quicken the pace a little bit, but Eagles and Saints. Saints are at home. The Eagles. This game was 3-0 Saints until the fourth quarter, and then this happened.
It is 2nd down and 5. Do they keep it on the ground with Saquon Barkley? They do. He breaks free. He's at the 50, the 40, the 30. He's going to go. Touchdown, Saquon Barkley.
So Saquon this year is on a mission, I think, to prove to the Giants that they made a huge mistake and to prove to everyone that he's one of the best running backs in the league, and he's doing it right now.
They're going to have to see him twice, too. So that's the beauty thing. And he is, you're right, he is running.
Wait, they are?
Giants?
Oh, the Giants, yes. Sorry, I thought you were talking Saints. Yes,
Yeah,
they will
the Giants
see
will
the
have to
Giants
see the Eagles twice.
Yes, they will.
And I'm sure he is looking to, embarrass them by any means necessary. He's run the ball outside of the drop pass that he had, I guess, earlier this week on Monday.
Yeah.
He's really been fantastic for the Eagles, and they're going to really benefit down the stretch of the season, should he be healthy, having that guy on their team. Where Jalen Hurts, it's a game changer. They didn't have that kind of breakaway touchdown from a running back position last year. This is a definite game changer.
And Eagles go on to win that one 15-12. I think Dallas Goedert had 10 catches, 170 yards, and just an overall pretty good win for the Eagles. I'll say that. Now, ugly category starts with the Dolphins. Seahawks were at home, and a lot happened, but here's how the scoring started for the Seahawks.
1st and goal to 4. Handoff Charbonnet behind the left side. Powers through into the end zone. Touchdown, Seattle. Zach Charbonnet, a 4-yard touchdown run for the Seahawks.
Final score in this one, Seahawks 24, Dolphins 3. Not much of an effort from the Dolphins. Skylar Thompson, the starting quarterback, got hurt with Tua out, and so they had to bring in their third-string quarterback. Now, my question for going forward is Tua going to be thrust back into the starting position? Oh, wait, they put him on IR, so they can't.
Yeah, he can't.
Never mind. That was a dumb comment on my part. They can't put him in there. So the quarterback position for the Dolphins is bad.
I think
right
it
now.
raises a bigger issue. Tua got hurt first. Now, granted, he didn't get hurt being protected.
Yeah.
He got hurt running.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. But I watched a little bit of that game. My man was Skylar Thompson.
Yep.
My guy he had no shot.
Yeah.
As soon as he finished his drop, someone was
Boom.
there. And, it's not as though they don't have receivers that can't get open. They can't receivers who can, and he just needs time to get them to him. And I don't think they had a lot.
Tua somewhere is like smiling, like, see, it's not just me. It's not just me. It's everybody.
I'm running for my life.
Second game in the ugly category would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers falling to the Denver Broncos 26-7. Very ugly game for the Bucs. Bo Nix had a nice day, though.
Sutton wide left. Little Jordan Humphrey to the right. Play fake. Nix rolls to his right. Run it, Bo, to the 5. To the goal line. Touchdown, Denver.
Run it, Bo.
Run it, Bo. 3-yard touchdown there for the Broncos. But, hey, good for them. They win.
No, bad
they
for
beat
them.
a good team.
I hope Denver loses every other game
Me
from
too.
this point on.
Me too. I don't know what
I
happens
was
to the
sad.
Bucs
Yeah,
here.
I was. Yeah, that one. That's
Surprising.
another one. Hurt me in my Chris and Gwynn's pick'em
Oh,
too.
yeah,
that was brutal.
That was a
I
brutal
was
week
just
for
starting
us.
to believe in Baker too, and then he laid an egg like this.
Come on, Baker. Final game in the ugly category. I don't even have a highlight. It was so ugly. The Panthers win 36-22 over the Raiders. As you heard in the Big Five, Antonio Pierce not happy with his team for making business decisions. But I think the story here is, my question to you, Tony, is Andy Dalton that much better than Bryce Young? Because Andy Dalton had himself a day.
I think we'll find out next week because Antonio Pierce's language at the game indicates to me that there were some dudes that kind of
gave up.
Yeah, basically. And, I don't know that Bryce Young got to face any defenses like that. So we'll find out. I mean, we've seen the Andy Dalton show before.
Many times.
At one point, it was good enough to get you to the playoffs. Is he still there? He's going to have to prove that. And
26 completions yesterday, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah, no, he did his thing for sure. But I'm saying he's going to have to prove it over the course of the season.
Yeah, he definitely will have to prove it over the course of the season. But Raiders fall. They are now 1-2. Pretty surprising that they couldn't beat the Panthers after beating the Ravens on the road the week before. So
I think that's also what had Antonio Pierce a little pissed off too. Like, we came out here and really looked bad.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't
whatsoever. All right, that is it for the good, the bad, and the ugly. When we get back, I'm going to close out the show. We got Monday Night Football coming up between the Bengals and the Commanders. And we're going to talk about Robert Suarez real quick in a very good light. So everybody stick around. Also, I did something on Saturday night that made me feel like I am a huge nerd. And I will tell you what that is when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.
segment here on Gwynn and Chris for today. I'm Matt Skraby. Tony Gwynn Jr. on his way up to Los Angeles for the games, or the series between the Dodgers and the Padres this week, starting tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Each game is at 7:10 p.m. Chris Ello is on vacation, and he will be back in about a week or so. Now, I teased before we went to break. I am going to tell you why I'm a huge nerd. And I guess I'm not really a nerd, and nerd's not really a bad thing at all, so don't take that as a bad thing. But here's what I did on Saturday night. I ended up spending, I'm not going to lie about this, I spent about 3 hours, or maybe close to 3.5, maybe 4 hours, as a 39-year-old man playing the 1993 version of Oregon Trail online. Now, if you know about this Oregon Trail and you played this Oregon Trail, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's a website out there where you can go play it. And I was so locked into this Oregon Trail that I played until midnight, even though I had to get up early the next day to get up to SoFi for the 49ers and the Rams. But I kept getting, my kid Jonah kept getting bit by a rattlesnake, and then he died. Then he got dysentery going through the entire camp, and people were dying left and right. I couldn't figure it out, and then I had to go hunting. Everybody who's played this game knows exactly what I'm talking about, but it was a little bit of a blast from the past, and it was fun, I gotta say. Now, I don't really want to spend another 3.5, 4 hours playing it anymore, but I might play it again here and there. It's pretty fun. I remember it from when I was a kid, and it taught me a lot about the Oregon Trail. And Nate says he loved the hunting. Rod says that was an elementary school game from way back. Yes, it was from way back, but I love that game so much. And that's what I spent my Saturday night doing as a 39-year-old, playing the 1993 version of Oregon Trail online. Just search it. You can find it in many different websites. You can find it. All right. We're going to finish up here, and I just got to say real quick that Chris vs. the Fans, when we do play, is presented by SD Fat Loss. Lose 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days. Visit sdfatloss.com to schedule your free consultation. We'll be getting back to that tomorrow. And if you don't know, Braden Sopranit's going to join me for the show on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it will be Braden and I, and then Tony will definitely be with us as well to start the show, and it will sound kind of normal, but Braden's going to be in with me. We'll be talking Padres. We'll be talking about all of that good stuff, getting you set for the first game of the series between the Dodgers and the Padres. I also want to say real quick that maybe I made it a little bit confusing earlier about the Padres clinching and all that stuff. All they need is one win. It's extremely, extremely, extremely unlikely that they miss the playoffs. In fact, Adam sent me a text that Fangraphs has them at 100% making the playoffs, and it's probably more like 99.9%. But that should tell you exactly what how rare it will be if the Padres miss the playoffs. But they just need one more win. They still have the division in reach too. Before we get to Monday Night Football, I said we're going to talk about Robert Suarez, and here's one of the things that I love about this team. Robert Suarez is not, and other guys on this team are not afraid to try something new. And yesterday, when he went out there and got the save for the Padres, he threw 13 pitches, and most of them are fastballs, but 3 were sinkers, and 3 were changeups, and a cutter. And he threw 2 straight changeups to end the game. So Robert Suarez is looking to figure out why he's been giving up hits and runs lately. And Mike Schilt said that he's going to need to mix some pitches in there as well. So they are making adjustments. All right, that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining us today. Monday Night Football next on 97.3 The Fan.
I never planned on being in an